Ziggity zig back with talking griffventures of talk silver griff. Damn it. With that guy Griff and Kiirakiira. This is a game from, oddly enough, September 9th. This game is so old I had to disconnect from Battle.net just to watch it. So, this is an incredibly old one, and this one is just titled Sentry Immortal? Something or other. Something like that. I will do the exact description in the actual description of the video, and this is up against a Zerg player by the name of Kiirakiira. So Kiirakiira is going with the Overlord first on a quick move up, which is a really good idea, because that's what you usually want to do. Griff's already behind a little bit in worker supply, but here we go. Knows he's up against a Zerg player, so booyah! A pylon. Now, I'm going to assume you're probably going to hear me say Kira as a she, because I knew a girl when I was growing up back in my hometown, and her name was Kira. It was spelled differently than this is. You just replaced the I's with E's, and she didn't do it twice, unless you were really trying to get her attention, and she wasn't listening because she was listening to her Walkman. That's right, not even Discman. I remember when Discmen were new. I remember when CDs were new. People were all, what's a compact disc? Oh my god. Okay, so I'm old. So let's just go back into the game here. With that guy Griff up here in the top of Daybreak, not too many Daybreak games you see anymore. A lot of people have actually, well, no, I'm just making stuff up. A lot of people probably haven't vetoed this map. I kind of liked it. I still thought it was a bit weird because it just looked like one giant S. But here is Griff having to peek around, just trying to see if there's any shenanigans going on. There is no immediacy as far as any sort of buildings for Kiirakiira. Maybe I'll just go with the single Kira for now, but oh my goodness, a lot of immediacy in getting Griff the hell out of her base. Oh my god, get this probe out of here. Here are 5 drones that are very adamant about the fact that this probe should not be anywhere near the base. So Griff is still going on a little bit of a peek here and there, just doing a quick little wander around. This Overlord is still very slowly on its way. This Nexus is slowly being nibbled away at by Kiirakiira. Griff finally, not taking all 5 drones or probes to take out Kira's drone, but just 3. As that's the way you generally want to do it. You don't want to use all of your resources in order to scare someone out of your base unless you're really planning on doing something secret. So any minute now, we'll see the fleet beacon go down, and then things will happen. Interesting wall-off by Griff. However, look at this, not Artosis pylon. That's excellent right there. You don't see that all that often. What am I talking about? There is a little bit of army supply from Griff. He's chronoing out a Zealot, probably because he's a little bit paranoid about the fact that he does not have any units yet. There is finally a Expo hatch from Kira. There is an Overlord into Griff's base, so all that work chasing around the drone only to have an Overlord that you cannot shoot down with Psyblades. So, you know, live and learn. Here's Griff, and Kira has also stolen gas on the Expo, which seems like an odd plan. But Kira's EPM does not lie. Probably could have stolen this one, but, you know, do you want to steal that gas? No, I'm going to steal the gas that you're definitely not using down here. Spurt blood as the Psyblades that cannot shoot Overlords down take me out from the inside out. You know, you can put in the Psyblade twist. Oh, man, twisting blades, that should so be an upgrade for Zealots. That would be hilarious, and it just ups the damage. Oh, Blizz, are you listening? No, you're not, because I have, what, like 30 subscribers, and only about 12 people actually watch these videos. I do this for my own amusement, and that is besides the point. There are a few more army units coming out for Griff right now. However, the army supply is actually skewed slightly in Kira's favor because of the 6 lings that are coming down. That looks like a Roach Warren, so it looks like early Roach on 2 base. I cannot figure out what I'm saying. Griff is using this cool little sneaky bit in a very strange way. I'm not quite sure why he's up here, probably just in case. Actually, you probably want to get a probe just over here at the corner, because it seems like a good place to reinforce in from. Kira is taking the outward tower to her own base, the close tower to Griff's base. Griff is still working on a few units over here. This is excellent with the Artosis pylon. There is not an Artosis in sight, which is good, because he's a funny-looking guy, and I'm a little weirded out by him. But Kira is now a little bit supply blocked, which is kind of a shame, because now she'd probably like to be getting a few more units. Griff is taking care of that particular situation, and just about ready to 1, 2, 3, a warp gate, while we get the robotics facility. So it's a 3-gate robo expandy-doo. Here are the lings don't appear to be moving much further forward, and at the moment there doesn't appear to be all that much going on the production scale. But here comes, and Kira's going to do a little bit of expansion, so that starts dropping down a little bit of creep, which is probably a good idea. Now, as far as this goes, the income is slightly in Griff's favor at the moment. More just because he seems to be working on macro a little bit, because, oh, there's some droning up going on by Kiirakiira, and that's going to take care of a few things just there. What was that? I missed on S? Spending. Okay, I've never looked at the spending tab before. Kiira, however, is quite ahead in EPM, but definitely not really doing too many actual actions, which I can't get. He's doing actions per minute, but there's not really much going on in the production side of things. Maybe just moving around a lot of units, just making sure everything is going back and forth. There's the pylon in behind that base. That's kind of an interesting spot, but Kiira might be able to actually see that. No, does not appear to be the case. There, it's just slightly outside of range. Speaking of slightly outside of range, this Overlord is having a wicked look at this area around here, but what you want to have your Overlord at is maybe just sort of closer over here so you can see what's going on, or perhaps, I see, the Overlord might be keeping an eye on this third base, but even though not too much point in that, here comes an Observer, and now the Observer sees that Kiira has control of this Elnaga Tower. Griff's 3-gate robo tactic is working pretty well at the moment. The worker supply is on par. Griff falling behind in army supply. However, army strength, I think, is definitely up in comparable price range. Now, at the moment, Griff has a predominantly sentry army, which is pretty impressive given the fact that he's only on 2 gas at the moment, and he's done 3-gate robo with heavy sentry. So, I did it. I said century. Sentry. Trying to emphasize the T in sentry so that people actually start saying it properly, because it always sounds like people say century. Taking out a free Overlord, which is always positive. There is a super supply block to Kiira on Griff's account, which is probably really going to stem the tide at this point, because Kiira is trying to pump out quite a number of roaches. Griff, however, not taking advantage of that. When you take out someone's Overlord, you probably want to start making quite a number of units. Now, Griff, remembering to get both the gases here. Not a sign of a split on the way, but still going way ahead in the worker supply, pulling the army back just because, you know, when you know you're a little bit ahead and you took out an Overlord, you're doing alright, doesn't seem to be too much pressure, you can relax, you can build up some more army, you can do exactly what Ziggity Zig does not do, and you can keep building your army so that you don't go in with half-assetry. Yes, that's the legal term for it. It's when you go in with just your half-assed. In the income tab, Griff is severely ahead and doing quite well, and now at this point, Griff is running out in front. Still has quite a lot of gas on its way in, and yet another immortal on its way down, and here comes another sentry warp in, just because the gas is getting ridiculously out of control. Griff getting a few more production facilities, the forge behind the gateway on the front lines there, so that this army here, which is definitely keeping up with Kiira's army, the income level is definitely keeping up, the worker level, the economy and supply, got the double gas, but not really taking advantage of that, mostly because his gas is quite heavy at the moment. However, here's the rest of it, and one level up for the ground weapons, getting chronoed there quite easily. Kiira having a quick little peek in with the Zerglings. I'm a little worried about Griff's vision, at least I was, until I realized that he had an observer down here in the army, so he knows exactly what's coming, he knows exactly what's on the front line, and he knows exactly what to do with that, which, actually, I wouldn't even know what to do with that. Would you start worrying about? Oh, I don't know. Actually, Immortal Sentry, probably going to do pretty well right about there. But you want to just make sure that you've got quite a number of force fields, and I think that's precisely what Griff has here. Getting another gateway as he expands at the same time, and yet another Immortal, so it's going to be a predominantly Immortal and Sentry army. There is a Hydralisk Den and an Infestation Pit, so it looks like Kiira is just about ready to go towards Hive Tech once that particular Infestation Pit does finish. So quite a lot of tech on its way. Oddly enough, not caring too much. Oh no, actually keeping on top of the harvesters. Not into a third base just yet. No additional gas, which seems like an odd maneuver. No, didn't, so I guess there wasn't too much of a split just there. It's just pretty much even. Does not spy this observer. Griff doing very well to keep that observer quite covered. Now, we're kind of at a stalemate at the moment where there's not a whole lot going on. Now, what's the EPM spam at the moment? 32 for Griff and 60, what was that, 2? 62 for Kiira. Now, Kiira finally going, there's the Hive Tech. So the Hive Tech's probably going to move towards, I don't know, Broodlords possibly, or Ultralisks. I'm not sure what the plan might be there, but here comes some Speedlings. Speedlings on their way out, and there's a hatchery, so a third base finally, but the only issue there is that that is the first thing that Griff is going to look for. Excellent use of the observers here, keeping one observer on the army to make sure he knows when anything is moving out and moving another observer in just to have a peek. However, on the other side of vision, Kiira taking the initiative by gaining control of both the towers. So it's one way to move. If Griff had both of these towers and both of these observers, then that would just be pretty much it. Because at the moment, Griff is not aware of it. But if you switch over to what Kiira's got, Kiira can see the entire army moving by and is probably going to be getting ready to do something actually about that. Yes, Kiira has decided to cancel that hatchery as opposed to move the entire army into place, which is interesting. Now, Griff does finally notice that there is someone on that tower there. Moves down, gets a little bit sneaky. There are no forward pylons other than these forward pylon. The one forward pylon over here on the left, but Griff is moving over towards the right-hand side of the map, which is kind of an odd and interesting tactic. Now, this observer is still keeping an eye on this expansion here, but there are a number of creep tumors that are slowly moving the creep out. However, they cannot see anything because they are merely, well, tumors. Because if your tumors could see what they were actually doing, then they would probably say things like, hey, it's kind of stinky in here. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But Griff is managing to stay on top of... Oh, actually, I was going to say that was a photon, or that was a pylon coming in, but there is now just a bit of a pylon on its way now. No forward pylons still, because there's nothing here in the army. However, Griff's army supply is definitely quite a bit ahead. This photon cannon might be getting ready for watching some burrowed units coming in. There's finally a Spire on its way up in Zerg missile attack, so a few more upgrades for Kiira while Griff is getting the army in place here. Not worrying too much about redoing this army unit. However, bringing along the observer helps to pick off the creep tumors. What I don't understand is why changelings cannot be detected by observers and automatically flagged as hostile units. That I don't understand. This is an uncomfortable amount of Zerg sitting in one tiny little choke point. So when this actual matchup finally finishes, there's a few more units happening over here. Griff spawning in another sentry just over there in the corner. Both, look at that, right around the 140 mark at approximately 16 minutes in, and here comes... Oh, no, we were just about to move out, and then decided not to. So suddenly, everyone starts moving around, and we're seeing an army come from both ends, and this probably would have made a little bit more sense had Griff sort of come in, scaled back just a tiny little bit. We might see some force fields. We're not seeing any force fields yet. There's one, there's two, there's three, and there we go. So now, here's the trick, is that cuts up a bit of the units, but the problem is that most of them are ranged, so it's not really doing all that much. Now, when you realize that most of them are ranged, at this point, that's when you pop the Guardian Shields, and when you pop the Guardian Shields, you're looking at quite a bit of units lost just there. Resources lost, definitely ahead in Griff's favor. This army here is bunkered in and ready to get through. The only problem is the Zealots can't do all that much damage at the moment. A few more force fields going down. You can see how slow this is getting just because this is mostly just my computer, don't worry about anything else, but Griff is managing to take out some of these air units and getting rid of Kiira's eyes in the sky, Kiira consistently getting stuck behind these force fields and just unable to do anything about it. Griff deciding to just sort of lick his wounds, move away a little bit, even though that was pretty much an even match and even losses on both sides. However, Kiira able to replenish pretty quickly, except she's only down to 2 larvae at the moment. There is a Greater Spire on its way. Griff getting ground weapons 2, as well as Zealot legs, so needled spines, and let's see if we have additional upgrades for... No, we only have 1 missile upgrade right now for Kiira. So Griff, I would have to say, with a little bit of an army advantage. However, Griff not able to tech out of this particular maneuver, mostly insofar as that he would normally be at Archons or Templar by now. Here's a couple Spine Crawlers moving forward. Probably want to take care of these rocks right now. There we go. Griff deciding that, yes, I can move up and down this ramp much faster if these rocks were not here. Kiira is breaking out ahead with a little bit faster, but then again, Griff gets another 8 warp pins over here on the side. Both players' money is actually staying remarkably low. We're about ready for... There's a Guardian Shield first, Force Field second, takes care of a little bit. Most of Kiira's units are getting trapped behind there, but then again, most of Griff's units are getting trapped in behind his front lines as well. So the problem there is that it's basically a corridor battle right now. Probably want a few more force fields right here. You've got the sentries to do it, but they're getting stuck in behind all of these stalkers, which is a bit of a problem. This is just quite a back and forth match here, where they are still very, very even in so far as units. I'm not sure how much Kiira's got to reinforce herself. She's only got four larvae left at the moment. The army supply is still looking pretty good for Kiira, but Griff does have the army strength advantage at the moment, and these Hydras might not make it through here, and I think possibly one more Guardian Shield would definitely polish this off without any losses, but Griff decides, once again, lick wounds, head home. However, he definitely could have pressed that advantage and continued on with that march, but it just did not seem to be in the cards. Moves out another... Now we've got 8 charge lots up the front, and +3 is starting up for Griff. Some more roaches and a few corruptors coming out for Kiira. Now, I'm a little worried about Kiira because Kiira is now on 2 base, has been on 2 base for quite some time, is getting totally mined out at the main, has not moved down to the natural, and I don't think that's going to be enough to start mass producing, or even producing more than 2 or 3 of the... I almost wanted to say Guardians, but that's not right. It's Broodlords that we're trying to get rid of, or that we're trying to bring into the game here. There go the charge lots, throwing their side blades in the sky, trying to chase down that Overseer. But with this movement in towards the base, taking out the second base, by this time Kiira would want to have 3, maybe 4 bases at the time. Griff's probably just about thinking about getting ready to move out to a new base. Griff polishes up and throws the force field up on the ramp, which is an excellent idea to stop the reinforcements from coming down. Can take out that hatchery and pretty much everything else. I'm not sure if Griff is anywhere near taking out the Overlords because he's done such a number on the army that actually trying to supply block is useless at this point. There is 1 Broodlord on its way for Kiira, which is about all that she can actually produce at the moment. Look at that, the Guardian Shield while moving up the ramp, which is an excellent move. I wish I could remember to do things like that once up the hill. These Stalkers warping in at the back are just doing such an excellent job at the range. The Zealots do stay towards the front. They were the first ones up the ramp, the first ones straight into the fray. The tickle beams coming out of the sentry are doing a fair job against the Hydralisks. 1 more Broodlord on the way for Kiira, and that is this one probably sitting right here, and I don't think it's even going to get the chance to warp in. I said warp in. That other thing. Morph. Morph and warp rhyme, so you know what I'm talking about. That was a pretty interesting game. I just really enjoyed the back and forth. I think Griff probably could have been doing a little bit more tech back at home while that was happening, but there was pretty intensive battles. The pulling out of the first battle, that was definitely the right move. The pulling out of the second battle probably could have pressed the advantage and picked off a few drones at the natural while maybe doing a little bit more building back home. Probably could have got into Colossus a lot earlier than he did because the Colossus would do quite a number against the Zerglings and the Hydralisks. But that's just me. Can't really complain too much about that because at this point my mid-game totally falls apart. I need some water. Final score was 66 EPM to 41. 41 EPM is pretty much where Griff likes to be, and I would say that was a pretty impressive game. Happy to see that. We will see Griff again next week. Send myself an email, ziggityzig@gmail.com. Leave me a comment down below. Follow me on Twitter, @ZiggyStarcraft. You can check out some of the other cool stuff that myself and that guy Griff do over on another channel, youtube.com/limenotlemon. But this current week, and possibly one a little bit more into this weekend, I'm just putting up some interesting content because Griff is away for a little while. So, we'll see him next week. Things will be back to normal, I hope. Stay tuned.